Okay, quick question. What's the number one thing people say when they're talking about retirement? I just don't want to run out of money. That's it. That's the whole conversation. And yeah, fair. Running out of money in retirement is a catastrophic, sleep-destroying, eat cat food at 87 nightmare. We've all heard that one. Your financial advisor has a laminated chart about it. There are 1,000 YouTube videos about it. But here's the thing nobody tells you. And I mean nobody, not your advisor, not even your grandson with the cryptocurrency opinions. There are retirement risks out there that are just as dangerous as running out of money, and most people walk straight into them like they're invisible potholes on a perfectly smooth road. Matt here, and today, we're going in. We're talking about the retirement risks that don't get their own magazine articles, their own CNBC segments, or their own terrifying chart at your annual review. The ones that quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, wreck retirements that look perfectly fine on paper. Let's get into it. 1. When one spouse dies. I want to lead with this one because it is, in my opinion, the single most underestimated financial shock in all of retirement planning, and it hits at the absolute worst possible moment, when someone is already grieving. Here's how it works. Most married couples in retirement are collecting 2 Social Security checks, maybe $1,800 a month for one spouse, $2,400 a month for the other. Together, that's $4,200 a month in guaranteed income. It's the foundation of the whole retirement plan. Everything is budgeted around it. Then, one spouse dies. And here's what most people don't know, and I mean genuinely do not know, because nobody tells them. One of those checks stops. The survivor keeps only the larger of the 2 payments. The smaller one disappears completely on the very day they need financial stability the most. So that $4,200 a month just became $2,400. Overnight, no warning. Now do the math on what that means annually. That's a $21,600 per year income drop. And this is happening at the same moment the surviving spouse is dealing with funeral costs, potential estate complications, possibly the loss of a pension that was based on the deceased spouse's work record, and the emotional devastation of losing their partner. This isn't a rare edge case. This is the default outcome for the majority of married couples in America. One of you is going to outlive the other, and the financial impact of that moment is almost never planned for. So what do you actually do about it? A few things. First, and this is important, consider the Social Security claiming strategy for both spouses, together, not separately. Delaying the higher earner's benefit as long as possible, ideally to age 70, maximizes the survivor benefit. That's the check that will still be there after one spouse is gone. And making it as large as possible is one of the smartest financial moves a couple can make. Second, make sure the surviving spouse has enough assets and income sources to cover expenses independently. Run the numbers as if they were single. It's an uncomfortable exercise. Do it anyway. Plan for the day you hope never comes, because the odds say it will. 2. The RMD Reckoning. And this one has a particularly cruel twist to it because the people it hits hardest are the ones who did everything right. The disciplined savers, the maxed out 401k people, the ones who spent decades diligently deferring taxes and watching their traditional IRA or 401k grow into something impressive. Congratulations on building a great retirement account. Now meet required minimum distributions, and they are not here to be your friend. Here's how it works. The IRS lets you grow money in a traditional IRA or 401k tax-deferred, meaning you don't pay taxes on it while it's growing. But they are absolutely not letting you defer those taxes forever. Starting at age 73, the government requires you to withdraw a specific minimum amount from those accounts every single year, whether you need the money or not. And every dollar you pull out gets added to your taxable income for that year. Now, quick clarification because something changed in 2024. If your money is in a Roth 401k or Roth IRA, there are no lifetime RMDs anymore. That's new under Secure 2.0. Roth money is structurally different, but most large retirement balances in America were built in traditional pre-tax accounts, and those accounts still come with a clock. A lot of people retire at 65, start living off their savings and Social Security, and think they've got their tax situation handled. Their income is moderate, their tax bracket is manageable, life is good. Then 73 hits. And if they've been a good saver, if they've got, say, $1.5 million in a traditional IRA, the IRS is going to force them to withdraw somewhere around $55,000 to $60,000 that first year, whether they need it or not. whether it blows up their tax bracket or not. And it gets bigger every year, not smaller, because the formula is based on your remaining life expectancy shrinking, so the percentage you're required to withdraw keeps climbing. Here's what that forced income can do. It can push you into a higher tax bracket. It can cause up to 85% of your Social Security benefits to become taxable. It can trigger IRMA surcharges, that's the Medicare premium penalty for higher income retirees, adding hundreds of dollars a month to your Medicare costs, all because you saved too well and the IRS wants their cut. The fix, and this is one of the most powerful but underused retirement strategies out there, is Roth conversions in the years between retirement and age 73. If you retire at 65 and your income drops, you might be sitting in a lower tax bracket for 8 years before RMDs hit. That window is a golden opportunity to convert chunks of your traditional IRA into a Roth, pay taxes now at a lower rate, and dramatically reduce the balance that will be subject to RMDs later. It takes planning, it takes running the numbers, but the people who do it avoid a tax ambush that most people never even saw coming. The IRS built a time bomb into your retirement savings. The good news is it comes with a timer, and you can defuse it if you start early enough. 3. Divorce in retirement. This one is uncomfortable to bring up, but we're bringing it up anyway because it's real and it's happening more and more. Gray divorce. That's the term demographers use for divorce among couples over 50, and the rate literally doubled between 1990 and 2010 and remains historically high. While divorce rates for younger couples have actually been falling, the over 50 crowd has been quietly splitting up at record pace. Researchers think it's a combination of longer life expectancy, more financially independent women, and, let's be honest, people reaching retirement and suddenly spending every single hour of every day with their spouse for the first time ever and discovering that they have absolutely nothing to talk about. Here's why this is a catastrophic financial risk and not just a personal one. A divorce at 60 or 65 takes one retirement plan and tries to turn it into two. It splits a portfolio that was designed to support one household into two separate households, which are dramatically more expensive to run than one. You're not splitting costs anymore. You've got two rents or two mortgages, two utility bills, two grocery budgets, two of everything. And you're doing all of that with half the assets you had before, often at a point in life where rebuilding is much harder. Social Security gets complicated, pension benefits get divided, the family home, often the biggest asset, has to be sold or bought out, legal fees eat into everything. And all of this is happening while you're trying to emotionally process one of the most stressful life events a person can go through. A study from Bowling Green State University research found that women's household income drops about 45% on average after gray divorce, compared to about 21% for men. Those are life-altering numbers. I'm not up here telling you to stay in an unhappy marriage for financial reasons. That is absolutely not the takeaway. The takeaway is this. If your retirement plan only works as a couple, that is a fragile plan. Both spouses need to understand the full financial picture. Both spouses need to have individual credit histories and financial identities. And if there are serious cracks in the relationship, addressing those before retirement, when there's still income coming in and more time to plan, is a lot smarter than letting it blow up after the fact. Plan like a team. Hope you stay a team, but don't build a plan that shatters if you don't. Number 4, losing money in the wrong investments. This one has been around forever, but it's getting worse, not better, because there are more ways than ever to make really spectacular financial mistakes in retirement. Here's the pattern. Someone retires with a solid nest egg. They're proud of it. They should be. They worked for decades to build it. And then somebody, a friend, a family member, a guy at a seminar with a really nice PowerPoint, pitches them on an investment opportunity. Could be a hot stock, could be a private real estate deal, could be cryptocurrency, could be a business investment, could be an annuity product with enough moving parts to require an engineering degree to understand. And the retiree thinks, I've got this money sitting here. If this pays off, I'll be in great shape. I can afford to take a shot. But here's the brutal difference between investing in your 40s and investing in your late 60s and 70s. When you're 40 and you make a bad investment and lose $50,000, that hurts, but you have 20 years of income ahead of you to recover. You keep contributing, the market recovers, you recover. When you're 68 and you lose $50,000 on a bad investment, there is no recovery runway. You're drawing down, not contributing. You don't have 20 years of income ahead of you. That money is just gone, and it takes a much bigger chunk of your remaining portfolio with it. Retirees are also disproportionately targeted by financial fraud, not because they're naive, but because they have money, they have accumulated assets. And some of the products marketed specifically to retirees are genuinely complex enough that even sophisticated people get confused by the fees, the lockup periods, and the actual expected returns once you strip away the sales pitch. The rule of thumb? In retirement, the burden of proof on any investment opportunity needs to be much higher than it was when you were working. The question isn't, could this make money? The question is, can I afford to be wrong? If the answer is no, and in retirement it often is, that's your answer. Boring and reliable beats exciting and risky every single time when you're 67 with a fixed pool of money and no paycheck coming in. 5. The loss of identity. I want you to stay with me on this one because I know it sounds soft compared to everything else we've talked about, but the research behind it is anything but soft. Here's what happens to a lot of people, especially high achievers, type A personalities, people who really identified with their careers, the day they retire. They wake up on Monday morning. No alarm, no meetings, no emails demanding their attention, and instead of feeling free, they feel nothing, a strange, unsettling nothing. Because for 40 years, their job told them who they were, what their day looked like, what their purpose was, who their people were. And now, all of that is just gone, replaced by an open calendar and the vague instruction to enjoy yourself. A lot of people think this is a personality quirk, a minor adjustment period. They'll get over it in a few weeks. They don't. Some research suggests that people who retire without meaningful activities or social engagement may be at higher risk of negative health outcomes. A leading meta-analysis found mixed effects of retirement on mortality, and scientists emphasize that maintaining purpose, activity, and social connections appears to support better long-term health. Cognitive engagement, not employment itself, appears to be protective. And here's the financial connection that people miss entirely. Depression in retirement leads to isolation. Isolation leads to declining health. Declining health leads to higher medical spending, earlier need for long-term care, and a retirement that costs dramatically more than it should have because the person stopped taking care of themselves. The loss of identity isn't just a psychological inconvenience, it's a financial risk disguised as an emotion. So what's the fix? You need to retire to something, not just from something. That looks different for everyone. Maybe it's a part-time consulting gig that keeps your brain engaged without the full-time stress. Maybe it's volunteering in a leadership role. Maybe it's finally starting that thing you always said you'd start when you had time. The specific activity matters less than the fact that it gives you structure, stimulation, and a reason to get out of bed with intention. Figure out who you are outside of your job title before you retire, because the people who do that tend to live longer, spend less on healthcare, and actually enjoy the retirement they spent 40 years building. That's not a soft outcome. That's the whole point. None of these are reasons to panic. Every single one of them is a reason to plan, specifically, consciously, and with your eyes wide open. The good news? You now know they exist, and that puts you meaningfully ahead of the vast majority of people who will walk into retirement completely blindsided by one of them. Knowing what can go wrong is half the battle. The other half is doing something about it before it's too late. Retirement is supposed to be the reward, the payoff for decades of showing up, grinding, saving, and doing the right thing when it wasn't easy. Don't let a risk you didn't even know existed take that from you. As always, if you got value from this video, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who need this information. Subscribe if you haven't already. I believe you're now meaningfully better prepared for retirement than you were 20 minutes ago. That's a win. I'll see you in the next one.